I made a deal with God, and lap dancing is as far as I go.
Is that true, Dustin?
That is true. That's as far as I'll go.
Because I'm Nathan Simmons, and if it's pillow talk you want, I'm all ears.
And you're listening and watching Showguys.
Yeah.
This is uncomfortable territory for me.
Yeah, you look great, buddy.
Thank you so much. So yeah, we're putting this episode out of our Patreon exclusive show to you, YouTube, and to social media, because this is a very special episode. I don't know if you could tell, but there's a third person on the call with us today, and we have the honor of interviewing a very special person related to not only Showgirls, but to all of the supplemental material regarding that movie.
100%, yeah.
Of course, Miss Rena Riffel. Thank you for joining us, Rena.
Yay! Thank you for having me, you guys.
Thank you.
To talk with you guys.
This is a dream come true.
Thanks for being a Showgirls fan. And
I mean, we have the star dancer herself with us today.
We do. We have her. And Rita, this was very special to us because at this point in our Showguys run, we have talked about Showgirls to death. We've talked about the movie itself. We talked about the making of it, the release, the backlash, and then the ultimate reclamation and reappraisal. And now we're starting...
also our personal stories with it, and our love of it, and
And now we're starting to get into the musical, and we're starting to get into Showgirls 2 and things like that. And at the time of this recording, Nathan and I have already recorded part 1 of our Showgirls 2 review. So you're coming in right at the perfect time. And thank you again so much for taking the time and talking to us.
Oh, this is great. Thank you, you guys. I'm so happy you reached out and in perfect timing too. So
great.
Thanks.
So this is just a note to anybody. You know, if you're on Cameo and you want to reach out to a celebrity, do it, you know?
That's right.
I was so surprised. And I just created that Cameo page, I don't know, maybe like 6 months ago now, but I didn't really promote it or put it on my Instagram or anything. And then I got like messages from you guys and I was like, oh my gosh. And thanks for like paying to
oh my gosh.
That's so cool.
Well, Dustin was like, so it's $6 to send a message. Should I do it? And I was like, you better. So our Patreon subscribers made this happen.
Yes, thank you, Patreon.
Yes. Oh, thanks. Yeah, thanks to your Patreon followers, subscribers. Yeah, that was such a cool feature because I didn't even know it did that. So yeah, thanks for paying to
I would pay again, no worries.
Oh, absolutely. And then you reached out back to us and gave us your email, and it's just been a really nice back and forth. And this is truly something that we never, in our wildest dreams, thought that we'd be doing with this show that we started kind of as a fun side project. So this is so cool.
And I love your red velvet curtains in the back.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, a little Lynchian, a little Cheetah Club.
Yeah, it's like Lynch and Showgirls put together.
He's studying for Star Dancer right now. He's there.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
So
I'm the next understudy.
Yes.
So Rita, before we actually get into like Showgirls related stuff, I thought we'd just kind of run down a couple of your credits just because, you know, some people may need some refreshers on some of the work you've done because it's not just Showgirls. You know, you got, and you tell me if any of this is not true because I'm going based off IMDb and Wikipedia, and I know that they can be a little finicky at times.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, some of the stuff might not really be true.
Okay. We'll find out right now. So is it true that you got started at acting on a TV show called Paradise? You did an episode of.
Yeah. With and funny, it was with Mila Jovovich.
Oh.
Episode, and I just had a small part, but yeah, I worked on that show.
That's great.
That's awesome. I'm gonna have to find that.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was like 1800s, and we were all prostitutes.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, as kids, child prostitution.
Oh no.
From there, you know, at least related to our show, of course, you're Penny / Hope in Showgirls, of course. What was before? I'm going to go ahead and jump a little bit into Showgirls just because we're here and I got to ask, what was it like? Because at the time, of course, Elizabeth Berkley, it's her first major breakout after Saved by the Bell. But for us, for our money, because we've already done an episode on one of his other movies, but you're almost paired off throughout most of the movie with Glenn Plummer. So at that time, he's working crazy. He did like 5 movies in 1 year or something like that. What was it like coming into there with both Paul Verhoeven, who's, renowned at this point, but also Elizabeth Berkley taking her big step, and Glenn Plummer, this character actor, getting all this work and stuff? Like, what did it feel like?
I mean, you guys can imagine what it felt like. It was really like, a dream come true to work with Paul Verhoeven first.
One of our favorites. Yeah.
Love him.
Yeah. Because I was a huge fan of Basic Instinct.
Sure. We've done an episode on Basic Instinct.
Yeah. And Sharon Stone. So I was a big fan of his, although here's a funny, it's not really funny. It's kind of like terrible. It's like, but honestly, I didn't know when I went on the audition, I've told this story before a little bit, but I didn't know who the director was. And then they just didn't tell me. And I'm just auditioning, I'm just like,
sure.
Okay. I mean, I was excited to get an audition, of course, but then again, you're just auditioning. And so I got a call back and I went in there and here's, a man there and I read with him. And I got home and then I called my agent and I was like, who was the director I just read for?
Yeah.
I didn't want to believe it because if I would have known, I would have been really nervous, I think.
Sure.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? So anyway, they're like, yeah, Paul Verhoeven, who directed Basic Instinct and of course all the other movies he did.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, I thought that was him. I didn't want to say anything. I don't know. It was so weird. I mean, this is like the reality of kind of how it goes, Yeah. And when you're in your, early 20s, at least for me, it was, I didn't know it was him, but.
Well, so was the audition just like a cold read or was there dancing involved in the first audition or?
Actually, well, the first audition we were put on tape. I mean, I was, and it was just with the casting director.
Okay.
It was Joanna Ray, who she's the one that cast me also in Mulholland Drive.
Right.
So
okay.
Kind of like that. Like I hear that a lot that the actors that she likes, she'll keep working with them or bringing them in.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, she's amazing. And and then I got the call back that I just talked about with Paul Verhoeven and read with him. And then he told me he right there, he goes, we want you to come back on the third call back. And then that was the dance audition.
Gotcha.
Did you have any dance experience at that time?
Yes. Yeah. And that was, I think, at the end of the day, the actors that got chosen, got cast, had the dance training because I was a trained dancer. And that's why I came to Hollywood because I'm a dancer. Sure. And I wanted to be a real dancer.
Yeah, of course.
That's why I moved down there. And then somehow I don't know what happened. I mean, I was told by another really good casting director to take acting class. And then I got into acting. I wasn't really trying to be an actress.
Yeah.
But that's kind of that's the path things started taking.
Sure.
But sometimes you can tell, when somebody has that sort of that natural inclination towards acting, I don't know. I always tell folks, if you have any kind of interest in it, acting classes are so much. They can be so much fun. They can also be very demanding.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah. I went to just on a side note, if we want to like do side notes.
I love it.
I studied with Playhouse West and the Meisner technique.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was going to ask.
Yeah. And I mean, I've studied like at a lot of different places and, but that's really grueling. Like the Meisner thing.
Yeah.
And I had to actually, I told myself to stop going after like, I don't know how long I was there, maybe a year and a half. And just to feel like something so real. And they always wanted us to cry and think of like just the worst possible. And I was like, oh my God, I'm getting depressed.
Yeah.
Having to go there with it so much. Anyway,
I had a director ask me one time during like the first rehearsal for a show, what's the saddest thing that's ever happened to you? And I was like, are we sure this matters to what we're doing tonight?
Yes.
But like, I am curious, like, when do you feel like a script really speaks to you? Is there like a moment where you're like, this is what really jumped out at me for Showgirls or for any project you've been in? Like, what is it about us? What does a story have to sort of catch your interest and make you think this is the next thing I have to do?
Oh, yeah. That's such a good question. And I've never been asked that question before. So that's interesting. Yeah, because I think it's more than just the character for me with a script. It's like just seeing the rhythm and the timing and seeing that, there is that timing with the dialogue and certain things that happen in the story. Like I turned down this one movie. They actually went and made it and I kind of regret it now. And they got like a really good actress to take my place actually. But I actually didn't like the ending because I was going to get eaten alive.
Oh,
okay.
and I was kind of like, and then this other character came in and was barely in there, just like towards the end. But then that other character was like the one that got away. And my character died in this, like, really, it was going to be a horror movie.
Yeah.
And I was like, this doesn't make sense, though, you guys. Like, the audience is going to be rooting for, this lead character, which would have been mine. And then, like, why don't you want her to get away?
Yeah.
And so that I just couldn't do the movie. And I was like, yeah. So things like that, if that happens.
Yeah.
Or if a script is, just like really, really bad.
Of course.
Which, I mean, yeah, of course. Yeah.
Bad in a good way. I like those, of course. And I've done a lot of that kind of work and I think it's fun.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have much acting experience, but as someone who wrote screenplays and then had to cast for those short films that I made as a director and everything, one of my things was like, if I let these people audition for me and they start asking questions and I don't have the answer to those questions, then I can't expect them to be interested in working with me, So that was always something I tried to make sure when casting and when writing too, is like, I need to make sure these characters are at least compelling enough where people will ask questions. And then when they do ask questions, I have those answers for them. So completely from the other side of the table, I get what you're saying for sure.
Yeah.
So I guess Showgirls comes out and the backlash is almost immediate, right? We talked about that in our episode, and it seemed like a lot of the blame laid at Elizabeth Berkley's feet, unfairly, I should add. But Striptease, which is another movie that you're in as well, comes out the next year. Did you have any sorts of worries or fear that sort of same kind of backlash was going to then be, just railroaded into Striptease as well? Did you have any concerns like that?
Yeah, I did actually. And I actually was in Florida filming Striptease when Showgirls came out. And another regret, like, the choreographer on Striptease was the same as Showgirls. And she was like, Rena, come with us. We're going to come and go to the premiere. and fly back to LA and then fly back again to be on set like the next day. And I was like, oh my God, that sounds so exhausting. I'm not going to
Sure.
go.
Yeah.
And I missed my Showgirls premiere.
Oh, that's sad. Did you get to see the movie before that at least?
No, I only saw it in ADR that I was doing.
Right. Yeah.
So I saw like some of it there. But then, so I ended up watching Showgirls with the striptease cast and crew.
Oh wow.
They
cool.
rented like the whole theater out. Yeah. And they hated it.
Oh no.
They were like, and they were like, and Demi, you know, she was like really nice, but she came over and she's like, Rena, you were really good in this movie, but the movie was just terrible. And we're gonna do like everything we can to not make striptease into Showgirls.
Sure.
So they wanted it to be more, you know, not campy.
Yeah.
It is a very different film, and in a lot of ways, striptease kind of has a little more in common with like Basic Instinct or you know, some of the other more thriller types of the era.
Yeah.
One of the things that we're so fascinated about, and we've talked a lot about Paul Verhoeven both on this miniseries and on our main show, but I'm so curious about his directing style because he gets such specific and very calibrated performances from his cast. How rigid is the direction, or is there room to play around on a Verhoeven set and kind of discover things?
Yeah, you can play around.
Yeah. Love that. Yeah,
and,
that's great.
Yeah, and especially with me and Robert Davi, you know, I kind of feel like we just did our own thing, but Paul was liking it, you know.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah, but I know, and there is that behind the scenes footage where he was more on top of Elizabeth's performance, and that you know is kind of a like we'll never really know this, but maybe that's why her performance turned out like it did, you know, just so like energetic and like those turns that, you know, like
the very staccato movements.
Leave. And very staccato. And I think there's footage where he was showing her to do that. So he was really directing her a lot.
That's so exciting to hear because I love when a director is open to collaboration, and his movies are so precise in plotting and in you know, pacing and timing, just like you were talking about. And so I'm always curious, as you know, if there's a little bit of room to play. And another thing that we've been a little fascinated by is when reading interviews and watching the behind the scenes footage for the film, the term musical keeps coming up from both Verhoeven and Joe Esterhaus. They keep describing it as a big musical, and obviously there's no real big musical numbers in the movie. I mean, there are the dance numbers, but there's not a lot of singing in the film. From your experience, what do you think that term means to them and to you personally? Is musical just a state of mind?
Yeah, I think what it meant was the dancing.
Sure.
And, you know, it makes me think this, and this is like something when I learned from Showgirls too, actually, because I was still new at, you know, writing scripts at that point. And that rumor, I said rumor earlier, didn't I? But it's like that thing with, like, that a script is supposed to be like 130 pages.
Sure.
And that's what I did with Showgirls too. And it turned into, it was really like 4.5 hour edit that I had.
Wow. Yeah.
I bet,
yeah. It's just, you know, and then someone, you know, said like, oh, you're a very dense writer. But I think Showgirls was also a very long script. And we did so much work to have these big, long dance numbers. And that was the one thing I was surprised when I saw it. Like they cut out all the dancing so much. It's just like clip, 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 close up here, bam, bam, over. And, you know, like every dance number was like 3 minutes long. So I wonder if the movie turned out to be 5 hours long, and then they're like, we got to cut up the
that makes a lot of sense. Yeah,
especially in the final act of the movie, it seems like they're on fast forward. Like we've got to get the big twist for Elizabeth Berkley's character in there.
We've got the revenge plot and all of that.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, and did you guys ever see? I saw this recently that the other ending wasn't even that. It was actually she wasn't. I don't know. She wasn't going to leave. Nomi wasn't going to leave Vegas. It was actually she came back and wanted to be in our dance troupe. So it was Penny and James.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And she was like, you guys, it had this whole, it was like a few pages, and
wow.
Yeah, she was gonna be an artist.
I love that because that feels like her heart's journey in the movie versus like where she ends up, skipping town.
We've talked about this, but the weird thing about the reveal at the end of the movie is Nomi's character is wanted across several states, right? And then she gets this huge position as the lead of Goddess and all this news coverage and everything. You think she would want to lay low. So that ending would make a lot more sense.
And it just, I don't know, that's very emotionally satisfying also. That everybody's together and actually being this sort of bohemian collective at the end of the movie. I love that.
Yeah. And maybe like the part where James, was going to give up his dancing and all that. Like, so we're going to continue to dance and.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. I can't believe we did all this research, Nathan, and we didn't know about this. Like,
I know, that's amazing.
Yeah, I saw it. I forget where, somewhere on Instagram. It could have been the Showgirls doc.
Oh, I'm gonna have to look that up. That's fantastic. Well, and speaking of musicals, I mean, you've got a song on the Showgirls soundtrack. You're on a soundtrack with David Bowie and Prince, which is like amazing. Two of my favorite musicians of all time. And we were talking a little bit before we recorded, but Dustin and I are songwriters, and we're curious about your approach to songwriting. Do you start with lyrics, a melody? Is there like a beat that inspires you?
Oh, yeah. It's funny. I was just thinking like yesterday, I was having my coffee and I was like, I kind of feel like returning to my music. Like,
yeah.
Because I haven't been doing it for a while. And but yeah, it's more like a melody in my head.
Sure. I get that.
We'll start it, and then like the rhythm of a lyric, like a rhythm that can happen with that melody, and then I start like writing the words and the verse and maybe a bridge and then the chorus.
Sure.
And then I usually go to collaborate with someone at that point.
Yeah.
Is usually how it works. But sometimes we've been like in the same room and then we'll write everything at one time. And that's usually when
that's fun.
I don't write as much of the lyric when that happens. It'll usually be like the producers, like
sure. Yeah.
More structuring things.
Yeah, sure.
Like, yeah, that sounds good. Yeah. But yeah, I love doing music.
Oh man, it's the best. And sometimes that's, sometimes it's nice to have that immediacy where someone brings you a project and they're like, let's record this. Yep. But other times, sometimes it's so great to let a melody just kind of live in your head for like a few days or, a week or whatever. And it just kind of, and when you realize that something's stuck in your head that you've written, like you get very excited about it.
Yeah. We were actually listening to your music too before you hopped on the call with us.
That's right. Yeah.
Nathan and I are in a synthwave band, very 80s inspired.
I was just gonna ask too, like, I want to hear your music.
So I'll send you a link.
Send you a link for
I'll
sure.
send you a link. Oh my God, but we were actually talking about, I was like, what if we did do a cover of one of Rena's songs and like put that on our Patreon as like a thank you and everything.
Would you be down? Well, we'll send you we'll send you our stuff, but we'd love to cover Deep Kiss or one of your other tracks. Like that would be so fun.
Oh my gosh, I would love that. Yes.
Okay. You heard this, YouTube copyright people. We got a permission.
That's right.
So there you
Oh
go.
my gosh, yeah.
So let's real quick before we get into Showgirls 2 talk about Showgirls the musical, because you had a bit of a hand in that. Was it, according to Wikipedia now, so you tell me if this is true or not, you had a pretty heavy hand in the development of this thing. Is that true?
No.
Okay.
No.
Get your shit straight, Wikipedia. There you go.
They wrote that number for me.
Right.
Mhm.
And that.
Okay. So you got
So-
to reprise your role as Penny for
Yeah.
like a little bit of that. Okay. So what was that like?
Oh, it was amazing. I mean, it was off-Broadway,
Mhm.
you know,
Mhm.
and so like really off-Broadway. And so, yeah, I stayed, I could have stayed, looking back to like, oh, another regret, but
Mhm.
I could have stayed at the director's place in Brooklyn, and like in the spare room, they were going to offer that to me, but I ended up staying with my cousin and my cousin and her husband, and they're out in Long Island. So they're really close to the subway there. I guess the LI. I don't know.
Mhm.
I love New York, but I haven't been there since then,
Mhm.
actually.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I want to go back so bad. But so oh yeah, you guys are in New York, right?
We're on the exact opposite. We're down in Florida.
Yeah.
Oh, for some reason I heard like something on the podcast about New York. I don't know.
We
That's why I
probably
was like,
talked about one of us
I
going to
think-
New York
I
or
think
something
so,
like that.
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
something. But yeah, so you're in Florida. Okay. So
We're in
you're
Florida.
in the striptease
Yeah,
area.
we're in the striptease county.
Yeah. The eager beaver.
Yeah.
That's right.
So yeah, it was so cool. Another dream come true in a way. Like
Yeah.
I would walk out there. They live in like townhouses that,
Mhm.
and then right across the street, like walk out the door, right across the street, I'd be carrying my little suitcase on wheels, and I'd get on the train and I'd go to, I guess, Penn Station.
Mhm.
I'd get out of there, I'd be walking, and then just like walk right over, not that far away, to where the theater was. And then we do the show. And I was there, I think I was there for 6 weeks doing the show
Mhm.
with them. And they wanted me to stay longer, actually. And I was really getting like worn out. I don't know
Oh,
what
I
was
bet.
going on.
Yeah.
But like, I think it was like the walking there, the getting on
Sure.
the subway, and it
Yeah.
was so exciting. But at the same time, like, I was like, oh my God, I'm just, yeah, I don't know, I'm feeling tired. But,
Sure.
and I was like so much younger back then, but it was so much fun. It was usually a packed house,
Mhm.
and oh my God, the talent, like the other cast,
Oh yeah.
so talented. And I could kind of tell, like, because they were in musicals like Broadway and all
Mhm.
that kind of stuff, that their like triple threat ability was so
Yeah.
much more than kind of what goes on in LA. Like LA, it's more like you're an
Yeah.
actor, you're a, there's not so much like the triple threat kind
Right.
of vibe, but they're
Right.
so talented. It was amazing.
We're dying to find a filmed version of this show. Like I think I know there's clips of it, but we've not been able to find like the complete production.
It
Yeah.
exists.
Yeah.
I know it exists. I can't find it is the problem.
Oh, maybe you could reach out to Tobley.
Okay.
Tobley?
She was, yeah,
Okay.
him and his partner.
Mhm.
They have it somewhere.
All right.
Awesome.
I'll reach out
They
to him.
filmed it.
I'll reach out
Thank
to him.
you.
Yeah.
Did you find yourself having to like sort of rediscover Penny or like sort of transmogrify the character in some ways to bring it to the stage instead of, because it's a very different style of performance between film and stage.
Yeah. Yes. And another thing, I was performing up in San Francisco with Peaches Christ.
Mhm.
Yes.
Huge fan. Yeah.
Yes. And doing the midnight mass. You guys know.
Oh
And
yeah.
so we would get up there and and the character, I would do Penny sometimes. And then I did Know Me Hope. And yeah, so I was a cross between, Penny and Know Me.
Fun.
And so up on stage we would kind of change up the lines, but basically do the dialogue, like the brown rice and vegetable dialogue,
of course.
And the you guys know all the great scenes. And yes, like being up on stage, it of course is bigger, and you got to wait for the laugh.
Brassier. Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
And I kind of had a problem with that a little bit, because I was like, oh my gosh, even though like Showgirls 2, I did like over the top bad acting. That was my on purpose, which was kind of scary to do, but I was like, this is how it has to be.
Sure.
But when I was up on stage, I was a little bit like, I wasn't sure if I should be over the top and kind of bad acting, or if I should try to be really
super committed.
like a good acting.
Yeah.
So that was confusing. But like the off-Broadway, I really just had a small part because they were trying to make it like easy on me. So I came out, I did a song, and nobody wants to fuck a penny,
It's one of the funniest lyrics of all time. It's so good.
Yeah, I know. I was kind of like, they're like, don't you love your song? And I was like, I mean, yeah, I loved it, but it was raunchy, or I don't know.
So
whatever.
wild.
Sure.
Yeah. So that's all I really did was that one.
Gotcha. I actually just want to mention too, I mean, we're recording this just days after the news broke, but we did have a Showgirls alumni just pass away on us. Alan Rackins just passed away a couple days ago when we're recording this. Did you guys ever have any kind of interaction on the set of Showgirls?
No.
Yeah, I don't think you guys had any crossover in the movie.
No, yeah, it was weird like that too. Like a lot of people I didn't really see very much or at all. But I did see him. I believe I saw him and the other guy that and I forget his name, and he was so nice. He has the famous line of like, we could get Paula Abdul.
Yes. Yes, the guy that runs Goddess. Yes.
Yeah. So I think, well, he showed up for sure, but I think Alan Bracken was at that party, that weird party that Playboy threw.
Oh, yes. Right. Yes.
Yeah. And and a lot of us went, and that was like right during filming Showgirls 2, actually.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah.
We were like filming, and so I kind of think he was there. We could look at the picture. They did a big cast picture.
Nice. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, we'll have to find that for sure.
That's too bad.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
One of our favorite characters, like some of the wildest dialogue, and he's just so committed 100%.
Yeah. Tony Moss is a hell of a character for sure.
Yes.
So that's actually a good segue then. We can get into the big reason why we wanted to have you on in particular was to talk about your movie, Showgirls 2, Pennies from Heaven. So at this point, you've already made, your other movie, Trasharella, and we're dying to watch that too, because as we're going through your credits, like we got to see this. This
sounds great. Yeah.
Yep. But Pennies from Heaven. So when did you decide like I want to do my own sequel to Showgirls?
Oh yeah. So that was like my friend I was talking to last night, like when you have something in you, like an artistic project, creative project that's stuck in you, and she said last night was so brilliant, like it's like painful, like you gotta like make the thing. So what happened was, when I was doing ADR, like I was saying, Paul said that he wants me to star in, to have it be all about Penny for Showgirls 2.
Okay.
And so you know, I was like so excited. And right after my ADR, I called my agent, you know, and told them this. And I was like, oh my God, because like my career, like it was like really taking off.
Yeah,
at
I
that
bet.
time. And
Yeah.
yeah, it was like, I mean, now, you know, now it's not, but like it, yeah, like what happens to most actors actually, but
Sure.
I like to look at it as different modes. You know, there's different, you know, you go through evolutions.
Yeah, that's how you have to look at it. And I looking at things in a more positive way. Like I love that. And yeah, so yeah, he brought it up to me. So they were, and there was talk about it, you know, and so I was really excited. And but then, yeah, when Showgirls came out, got all the bad rap.
Sure.
You know, it's like the whole horrible thing. It was, you know, they weren't going to do it. So I just, and then, you know, of course, I had no idea. I didn't really, I don't know what I've said in other interviews, but I kind of didn't know it was going to be this like big or like,
right.
You know, 30 years later,
yeah,
we're talking about it.
Yeah.
You know, I was hoping it was going to be like a really cool movie and like the follow-up to Basic Instinct. And at the time, because it was like I was new though, and so a lot of people didn't even believe me that I was in this movie. I was like,
sure,
yeah, I'm gonna be in, you know, Showgirls that's coming out, and they're like, how could, you know, why are you in that? Because I had like, you know, one credit that, I mean, like a leading credit, not like I did a ton of like small parts before that, but yeah, so that's how it happened. And then I kept thinking about it, and then Peaches Christ was, you know, really like turning it into this cult thing. Peaches has a lot to do with it. And then I was like, I'm getting older and older, and like I just want to do it. And I did ask Paul if he would do it, and I talked to him, and he was, you know, but he said no. He goes, it's not my cup of tea, but you have my blessing. You know, he's like, go and do it. He goes, no, I can't go down that road again.
Yeah,
sure.
I mean, he's never done a sequel, has he, Nathan?
No, not to one of his films. Yeah, other folks have done sequels to his movies, but he typically is just moving forward with the next thing.
And I just had to say, I'm so jealous you get to say I talked to Paul, like you have him on a first name basis. I know. I'm so jealous.
You know, what was a weird thing too was like right before COVID, I got this email from I think it's pronounced Volksstraat magazine in where Paul's from, like from Amsterdam or whatever. And I'm like, his number is from a Dutch magazine there. Yeah. And they're like, it's our whatever anniversary, like maybe 25th anniversary. And they had put Paul and me on the cover of their first launch.
Oh, wow.
And it was that picture, but it was in color, not black and white, where I was like half naked and with my arms over him. And so they wanted to shoot us again for their anniversary. And so I got to go over to Paul's house and do this new photo shoot with him. And it was just like, how cool is that? You know,
I'm so jealous. Just hearing that.
I know, I'm jealous too of me. I got to go and be with amazing Paul Verhoeven. I'm like, and he is still making movies.
I know.
And
on his own terms. Yeah.
And we're supposed to get together actually, and then COVID happened, and then we were making plans And then like I need to follow up with them, but it's like the years I'm like now I'm embarrassed, like, you know.
Oh, I
like
feel
4
that.
years
I
ago.
feel that. Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, it's me. It's Penny.
You know, when we were diving into Showgirls 2, we were checking out the original Kickstarter page and, the description of the project. And, we understand that you approached this as sort of semi-autobiographical, also as a satire. Did you go into the production of the movie with the intention of, I'm going to make something that, we'll take to the midnight movie circuit? It's got a built-in cult, like as a celebration of all things Showgirls?
Yes. I'll just say yes. Like, yeah. And I, that was a hard decision for me, actually, when I was like in the creative process. I wasn't sure whether to really try, even though, with no money. I did try to get funding.
Yeah.
And I ran around for like a year trying to get real funding and talking, to the people that were involved, like own the rights and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And this, like, for a whole year, and it just wasn't going to happen. And I think if I would have went down that path, it still wouldn't have ever gotten made. So it was like
all the hoops you had to jump through.
Yeah, I just had to do what I did. But at the same time, I was like, should I make this like the movie that, I mean, of course, but my thought process was, should I try to make this, the tone of this movie, what the fans or the press was trying to say that it was, instead of this like dark comedy thing that ended up happening.
Yeah.
And so I was really, and then I was like, or should I make it just really like a cute, straight ahead comedy, like romantic and not dark or weird at all. And then my other choice was like what you said, to like really just serve it up for the midnight movie and like just give them even like Showgirls, but even more.
Right. I'm sure it's a difficult process because you're trying to make something that speaks to you as a writer and an artist, but you're also still, you know that there are expectations whenever you're going into a sequel. And one of the things that like really jumped out at me about this movie was the occult subplots are like super fascinating. And I was curious, did you do a lot of research into secret societies, or was this something that like you kind of heard about in passing and was like, oh, I'm going to explore that in this?
Yeah, I did research and just went down that path and just, and I just really, even though it's like, I don't know, it's like this weird tone with it, but at the same time, I wanted to raise the stakes for Penny, just to make it so like it's either she's gonna die or she's gonna like get out of it, so like it was like super intense, but at the same time like somewhat campy because it's so absurd, like how dark it got with the cults. But I think like at that time it was from my imagination too, though, like, and but now I was like, like in the news now, like what's going on with all like the Hollywood stuff.
Sure.
Like,
and all
like
so many
really,
rumors and
I mean, like we don't know anything for sure, but
right.
Like it's in the news and they're like, yeah, and then this happened and that happened, and I'm like, oh my God, that was kind of like what the scenario was in Showgirls 2, even though it didn't come from any of my true life experience. Like I was really lucky that like 99.9% of my time in Hollywood was like, I was totally fine.
Good. Yeah.
That's good to hear.
Yeah, like so many people, with the Weinstein thing, like,
of course,
like, oh my God. So yeah, I just got just lucky that nothing really bad happened. But yeah, I was like researching, I was finding things out for the first time. You know, I wasn't like an expert on all that stuff. I had to learn it while I was writing the script.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, that's fantastic.
That makes a lot of sense. Because so much happens to because we've only seen the full version of the film, the 2 hour, 25-minute version. So like so much happens to Penny over the course of your movie. Like there's a murder subplot. There's a very Eyes Wide Shutty kind of like hotel scene, and like when you were writing the script, were you just like, I just want to put Penny in different situations and just see what happens, or is there like
she gets her way out of it?
Exactly. Was that the thought process of like this happens and then this happens? Like how does Penny react to those situations? You know?
Yes. Yeah. It just like one thing after another, like just deeper and deeper and like worse and worse. And how does she get out of it? And you know, like. Yeah. And it's almost like, oh, she should have just stayed with James and, you know, around in the apartment. Like, look what she went and did, you know?
It's almost like she's almost like stumbling her way into situations, almost like the Penny version of like Forrest Gump. Like she just ends up in these, because there's literally scenes where, you know, she gets picked up by Jeff, the same guy from Showgirls. And then from there, she's into this murder subplot, and then she ends up, you know, in Hollywood. Like she's kind of
covered in blood,
covered in blood, and on Mulholland Drive, of course. Yeah. But like it was just fascinating as we're watching this. Of like, there's so much movie in this movie. Like there's so much happening, and genuinely, like we're like we have to watch it a second time at some point, because there's like I'm sure there's stuff we missed because we're like reacting from the previous scene.
Oh yeah,
too much to like take in what's happening in the next scene. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's great. Thanks. That's a great compliment, actually.
No, absolutely. It was, and then like, because you're wearing so many hats in this movie. Like you're starring in it, you're writing, you're directing, you're editing, you're producing and distributing. Like, and I think we even heard that you maybe did some catering as well on the movie. Is that like
amazing?
Your
energy level and your dedication is out of this world. It's out of this world.
I don't know how I did it. I think I was just really fired up, and I borrowed my mom and dad's minivan, and I was living in West Hollywood, and I would like pack up the minivan, and then I'd go pick up my guy that was he's not really a sound guy, but he was like everyone was volunteering, wanted to be involved because they love Showgirls. So he was doing the sound. So I'd drive by his apartment, pick him up because he didn't have a car, and like drive out to wherever the heck the next location was. Yeah. And, you know, then film all day. And like I kind of don't know. I don't know.
You just
I don't know
had
if
a
I could
fire.
do it. Yeah. I mean, maybe I could still, but yeah, I'd have to really be in that. Yeah, there was something like magical kind of going on.
For sure, yeah. The passion comes through on the screen. That's
I
for
agree.
Sure. Like, you know, because we talked about, you know, when the backlash of Showgirls came out, you know, Elizabeth took the brunt force of that stuff. And anytime like a movie comes out and it doesn't get the, you know, the appropriate reaction that the filmmakers were intending to, you know, it's Nathan and I say all the time, any movie is a miracle that it gets made. Like, because I'm sure as many projects as you've been in, you understand that it literally has to be so many people pulling in the same direction to get anything done. Even I've only made short films, and even then I know how much struggle it takes just to get everybody on the same page. So like the fact that you not only have Showgirls 2 to show for it, but you've also got Trasharella and your other movies, like it's you kind of made your own way. Like you did the Verhovens and the Lynches and like all these other like huge projects, and then made your own path. And like we found that incredibly impressive. And like I said, there's so much movie in Showgirls 2 that like you know we we have to do a multiple episodes reviewing it because there was just so much to talk about. Like it's a wild ride for sure.
Thank you. That's so sweet. I really appreciate that.
And I did just want to say, just this is less of a question, more of an observation. I genuinely did not know that you could have someone's ashes that were cremated turned into a diamond. I found that out.
Learned that from this movie. Yeah. Absolutely.
That was an incredible find to learn that. So thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah.
Also, I mean, we talked about them a little bit earlier, but one of the things I mentioned to Dustin when we were recording our Showgirls 2 review is that it's awesome that you have all of these returning cast members from the original. Glenn Plummer, Dewey Weber, Greg Travis. Glenn Plummer, who delivers a genuinely moving monologue towards the end of the movie. Like, what was it like pitching the idea of the sequel to them?
You know, they all were just so down for showing up and doing it.
I love that. That's great.
They were just so nice and professional actors as they are. Mm-hmm. And they showed up and, you know, knew their lines and just did it. And they wanted to come and support the project.
Yeah.
You know? So I was surprised too. Like I was a little nervous and I asked him, but yeah.
I mean, Glenn Plummer alone, there's the monologue when he finds out that you're breaking up with him.
Yes.
That's a one take. And it blew us away. Like because he is so committed.
Yeah.
To that scene. And I don't know. I'm always fascinated with him. Like he makes even the smaller roles, like in Speed, he makes the most of. In this movie, he makes the most of. Like he finds a way to chew the scenery without it being campy, you know what I mean? Like he makes the most out of that one moment, you know? Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I found that incredible. Your direction with him was incredible too. I know we don't want to keep you too much longer because I know you got to get out of here, but I guess we have some wrap up questions if that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I guess my first one is, do you still keep in touch with anyone from Showgirls, like Glenn Plummer or Elizabeth or anything like that?
Yeah, like I just saw Glenn not long ago, and what was it? It was on Vice TV reached out to me to do a documentary. Mm-hmm. And all about Showgirls. And so, you know, I said yes. And they asked me if I could ask Glenn if he wanted to be in it. So, because Glenn and I were in touch and we stay in touch, mm-hmm. you know, and so he was like, yeah, I'll do it. And so we were on the set there together and, you know, got to see him.
That's great.
Yeah, like not too long. I can't remember exactly. Time flies, but I think it was a year ago now. Mm-hmm. But Dewey, I see him occasionally. Like, I'd like to see everyone more.
Sure.
Yeah, but we get together and we go to some like Showgirls things together sometimes. Dewey mm-hmm. and I and Greg Travis too. And Elizabeth, I don't see her as much, but sometimes I run into her. Mm-hmm. And she's like super nice and so sweet. And, you know, I think, of course, that was really hard on her, but I think mm-hmm. she's like in a really good place now.
Yeah. That seems to be the indication we're getting, which I love. It took a while for her to get her flowers, but I'm glad she's getting them.
Yeah. We watched that video of her presenting Showgirls at the Forever Cemetery. Mm-hmm. And like, you could feel that the love that was sent her way and how she's taking that in now, especially with this much distance now between mm-hmm. when the movie came out. You know, the reclamation it went through. So that's good to hear that you guys at least occasionally keep in touch and everything. Is there Do you know if there's any plans? Because next year is the 30-year anniversary of the movie. Do you know if there's any plans for like anything special?
I don't know of any right now. But who knows? Maybe they're. Yeah, I didn't go to the just because I'm living up here, but I was invited by like actually Dewey Weber invited me and told me to come down. But the Academy Theater, they did that screening there.
Oh yeah.
Showgirls, and Elizabeth showed up to that.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of like, because she thought, and this is what we kind of thought Showgirls was going to be like. She thought she was going to win an Oscar for Showgirls. Like that was kind of part of the, we thought it was going to kind of be like that.
Yeah.
So she was so I even said that too beforehand. I was like, oh, good. At least it's recognized by the Academy.
Right.
She kind of got an Oscar.
Sure.
I love that. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, in a certainly in the 90s, in a less sexist world at that time, she would have been taken more seriously for that. Because when we started the show, it kind of started almost not as a bit and like mean spirited, but like we like Showgirls on one level. Let's talk about it. And then as we started watching it a lot and doing the research and watching the interviews and everything and really dissecting the direction and the acting and everything, we're like, no, Elizabeth is really
going for
not
it.
A joke. She's really good in this movie.
I love this movie. I mean, I know that's kind of part and parcel of the fact that we've recorded 10 episodes of a show about Showgirls at this point, but like it is a movie that brings me joy, and I've become very protective of it.
I actually, there are the fans that are protective of Showgirls, and like I have my friend who, like, he named himself after Nomi, and he's very protective of it. He doesn't see it as like a funny campy movie. Actually, he's like,
it means so many different things to so many people, and I think that's the mark of a movie, that it stands the test of time.
Yeah, I mean, how many of those Paul Verhoeven-esque movies that were ripping off of his style and Joe Esterhaus's style, how many of those movies are still talked about as much as and in the same breath as Showgirls? Like, not many. Like, and if they are, they're other Paul Verhoeven and Joe Esterhaus projects.
True.
So like, I really do think that like if people go back and see it with a more critical eye, and especially almost 30 years now away from it,
in a more sex positive society and time that we're living in, absolutely. Like, we're certainly less prudish nowadays, and I feel like if they give that a shot and like truly watched Elizabeth, like there is something in her performance that is so genuine. It's if you want to have any problems with it, I would say that's Paul Verhoeven's direction that she is just, she's working with. I mean, that's he's a director, so he's giving her what she's giving him what he asked for. So
yeah, and he was, I think he finally said this, but he was trying to get the energy higher for the film, because even when I first read the script, I kind of like saw it as a whole different movie, and it was the way I just read it, it was a little flat. It was like a little bit boring, and it just kind of went on and on. It's like, Nomi's going here, there, and I think he might have saw that and like, if you put the energy up from Elizabeth, then it's not gonna kind of just keep going on and on and on.
Right.
I'm guessing that.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, that makes total sense. Absolutely.
Yeah. And then with, she took direction. So.
Yeah. She's given him what he asked for. So, well, thank you so much, Rena, for talking to us. Is there anything that you're working on right now that you want to plug, or anything you want to bring our listeners and our viewers' attention to?
Oh, well, I don't know. I have a YouTube channel. I'm trying to.
Yeah, plug it. Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's YouTube. .com/Rena Riffel Films.
Okay.
I have a few YouTube channels for some, I don't know what happened. But that's the one I'm like, and it's weird. It has, I had posted, like ages ago, whenever Showgirls 2 was happening, 2012 or whatever it was, some clips on there and on that same channel. So I was like, oh, I just posted like my Paris vlog, and I was like, oh, look at my analytics. I just got like 17,000 views. And then I look, I'm like, wait, they're just watching Showgirls 2 footage. They're not even watching my Paris thing. So, and they're all like, I mean, some of the comments, of course, are mean, but that's kind of what I knew going into it. I was kind of like, at least I wanted to give people something to talk about and like maybe hate or love or whatever. So, it's just fun because I know people kind of have fun doing that too. Like, this sucks,
Yeah. Well, at the end of the day, you made a movie and they didn't. So
that's true.
Yeah.
So they can sit and spin.
You also have a Patreon, right?
Oh yeah, and I have a Patreon that I'm working to build that up. So, and it goes along with the YouTube. Like I want to do that whole video creator world.
Yeah. Perfect.
And because like you think about it, I mean, YouTube was around back then, but like everything has changed so much with the way, video content. I was launching my own makeup line and I was doing that for like a year, and now, I actually have like one of my products.
Oh, nice.
Here.
Look at that.
But then I pulled back on this. So I was launching like Rena Riffel Beauty. So some of my handles have Rena Riffel Beauty because I was like this was in the works. But I'm taking a break from that until I it was like too much to handle.
Sure. Absolutely.
And also like I'll tell you one thing I'm really excited about because like I feel like I kind of, and I have to use this word, I kind of took a hiatus from filmmaking and I wish I wouldn't have really, because it's really like where I am the happiest and most creative, and I just love thinking about making the movie, writing the script. I love editing, and so it's been a while, even though I have these scripts that I'm like, oh my God, I want to make it. But the same thing, it's like, it's a miracle to really pull it off and the energy it takes. And then, if you start getting other projects going or you're working a job or, like I'm working a job now. So I'm like, you get tired and then, so it's more of a struggle, but I did just start filming a short film, and I've never actually made a short film. So, I love that you're making short films because it's like a whole different thing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
To do a short.
Yeah.
So I started filming that recently, so I'm excited. And like one fun thing, if you want, I don't know if you guys want to cut this out or leave it in, but there is actually talk of a Showgirls 2 sequel. So it's like a Showgirls 3. So
would it be Showgirls 2?
Yeah,
which I love.
Showgirls 2 too. Yeah, I think I'm gonna just keep it within the Showgirls 2 name, because if I start venturing out, I don't know, that might cause some problems. But
sure.
Yeah, so I've had a few different companies approach me with wanting me to do that.
If you need 2 extras, you got our email address.
If you need 2 podcasters in the background talking about movies.
Okay.
or I guess we could promote, or if you need synthwave music for some score or something.
Oh my God, yes.
That's very exciting. So yeah, that's patreon.com/Rena Riffel, and you can also check it out. We'll put everything in the description so people can find it. Yeah. And I just want to say, you gave us your blessing to screen Showgirls 2. So we're still in the works, figuring the logistics of that out. But for anyone, watching on YouTube or on social media, if you just go to patreon.com/silverliningsplaylist is where you'll find Showguys, our show all about Showgirls, as well as some other info about our regular show. But we'll be posting there and on our social media when the screening is going to happen. We'll figure out the logistics of it and let you guys know. But that's going to be very exciting. You'll be watching live with us on camera, just like you are now, and we'll commentary, throughout the movie. We'll have a lot of fun with that.
Oh yeah, and the I know I told you guys about the, there's another edit out there called Showgirls 2, The Cut. I don't know why I thought of The Cut, but anyway. But yeah, and that one actually has footage that did not make it into Showgirls 2 Pennies from Heaven.
Okay.
So that's how much we shot. And we shot for I don't know, it went on forever, 3 months, I think.
Yeah.
And we're like, how many more? And we're checking them off the list,
Yeah.
How many more scenes do we have? And yeah. And so that's on Gumroad. And I don't know, I think that's gumroad.com/Rena Riffel as well.
I think so. Yeah. We actually have that. We bookmarked that fairly recently for possibly for the stream, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's and I fixed the sound as much as I could on that one.
Okay.
So
cool. Okay.
No, because we actually did record the sound on those Zoom, things.
Yeah.
People still even use those. But yeah. And then at the end of the day, it was camera sound. So that's why the sound is so
Sure.
bad.
Been there. I've been there. I know that feeling.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, again, thank you so much, Rena, for talking to us.
Guys.
This was a blast.
This was a
Thank you.
treat.
It was so much fun.
So at the end of every episode of our show, we have a special sign-off just related to Showgirls. And I want to know if you could maybe help us out with it. So we always end the show by saying, the show
must girl on.
And can we maybe have you say that for us right now?
Okay. The show must girl on.
Yeah.
Girl on?
Yes.
The show
Perfect.
must girl on. The show must girl on.
We got it.
Perfect.